the intro.
Okay.
Welcome, friends. Today we have a talk on the Paramitas, followed by our study of the Book of Confidences around 12:05. Next Sunday, October 13th from 11 a.m. to noon, you're kindly invited to be with us on Google Meet for a continuation of our study of the book, The Key to Theosophy. To begin, we'll have someone read the declaration of ULT.
The United Lodge of Theosophists Declaration. The policy of this lodge is independent devotion to the cause of theosophy without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with the differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and too lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of theosophy and the exemplification in practice of those principles through a truer realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds the unassailable basis for union among theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis. And it aims to disseminate this idea among theosophists in the furtherance of unity. It regards as theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization. And it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves by study and otherwise to be the better able to help and teach others. The true theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all.
Thank you. Next, we'll touch on the three fundamental propositions of theosophy.
Starting at the top of page 14, The Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, we find three fundamentals that work together as one. They apply to nature's laws as presented throughout the Secret Doctrine. The first fundamental is on deity, the unity of all existence, the rootless root of all that was, that is, or ever shall be. It extends to beyond the range of human comprehension and can be dwarfed by any human expression. It is beingness rather than being, and is thought of as a great breath, the one reality. It is a dynamic energy that might be linked to the still small voice that wells up within every individual soul, that consciousness that should be our guide. Spirit, matter, soul, life, embodied and unembodied. What people generally call God or deity is an aspect of life, the omnipresent principle which invisibly functions in the atom as in the cosmos, and which abides as a self in the heart of every creature. Another aspect of life is law. People speak of laws of God, the laws of nature. It would be more accurate to speak of God as law. God, life, self are not different from law. They are law. The spirit of the universe also surrounds and is within all. We eternal pilgrims have the opportunity to become gods or one with the Absolute through sustained effort. We honor the gods as superior beings to emulate, but not as beings outside of ourselves. The second fundamental is on the law, which brings out an analogy between the processes of nature in the cosmos and in the individual man, day and night, life and death, sleeping and waking, karma and reincarnation. Man's lower principles disintegrate in time, and nature uses them again with the various imprints from past uses to form new human principles. The same process takes place in disintegration and formation of worlds. There is the perpetual exchanges of atoms correlating and changing the combining equivalents, like the perfect flower dying in order to grow into a perfect fruit. Man himself punishes and rewards based on his deeds. As above, so it is below. The third fundamental is on evolution. The whole order of nature is progressively marching towards a higher life in the cycle of incarnation. No spiritual buddhi, which is divine soul, can have an independent, which is conscious existence before the spark from its essence has passed through every elemental form and has acquired individuality, first by natural impulse from the mineral and plant and to the animal up to the human stage. Thereafter, we progress by self-induced and self-devised effort, always checked by karma, up to the holiest archangels, also known as Dhyani Buddha. Each entity must have won for itself the right to becoming divine through self-experience. The physical evolves gradually from the spiritual, mental, and psychic. Elementals are all future men. No one has ever reached adeptship in one embodiment. Each man has within himself the spark of an adept and can evolve into an adept through self-induced, self-devised methods, aided by masters of wisdom to the extent allowed by karma.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments or thoughts on the three fundamental propositions? Okay. Then we'll continue with a devotional reading from the Voice of the Silence. The paths are 2, the great perfections 3. 6 are the virtues that transform the body into the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is a title given by the followers of the Bodhidharma to those who have attained the height of mystic knowledge, adepts. Nagarjuna, the founder of the Madhyamika school, was called the dragon tree. Dragon standing as a symbol of wisdom and knowledge. The tree is honored because it is under the Bodhi tree that Buddha received his birth and enlightenment, preached his first sermon, and died. Who shall approach them? Who shall first enter them? Who shall hear the doctrine of 2 paths in one, the truth unveiled about the secret heart? The secret heart here standing for the esoteric doctrine. The law which, shunning learning, teaches wisdom, reveals a tale of woe. Alas, alas, that all men should possess Alaya, be one with the great soul, and that possessing it, Alaya should so little avail them. Behold how like the moon, reflected in the tranquil waves, Alaya is reflected by the small and by the great, is mirrored in the tiniest atoms, yet fails to reach the heart of all. Alas, that so few men should profit by the gift, the priceless boon of learning truth, the right perception of existing things, the knowledge of the non-existent. Saith the pupil, O teacher, what shall I do to reach to wisdom? O wise one, what to gain perfection? Search for the paths, but, O Lanu, be of clean heart before thou startest on thy journey. Before thou takest thy first step, learn to discern the real from the false, the ever-fleeting from the everlasting. Learn above all to separate head learning from heart wisdom, from the eye from the heart doctrine. And now we'll proceed with the talk on the Paramitas.
Thank you. Friends, can you see the slide that says the Paramitas? That's all it says on it right now.
Yes.
Okay. Page 52 and 53 of the Voice of the Silence outline the keys of the Paramitas, Paramita orders as shown on slide 2. So we'll get to slide 2 now. You should be seeing a list of 7 Paramitas there. Mr. Crosby summarized these portals as follows. 1, Dina, the key to charity, consideration for others, no matter what their state. 2, SHILA, the key of harmony in word and act. That means, among other things, sincerity, not to let acts belie one's words. KSHANTI is number 3. Patience sweet, that nought can ruffle. These 3, if practiced, will create a fairer and clearer atmosphere. SHILA counterbalances, sorry, didn't mean to change yet. SHILA counterbalances the cause and effect and leaves no further room for karmic action. The same idea is set forth in the Gita, where it says that freedom comes from a renunciation of self-interest in the results of our actions. Our objective is to not only understand these portals, but to become them in our actions. To obtain more about today's talk, you can look at the first talk on the Paramitas back in 2015. It's on the GFT website. August 9 is the date. September 20th is, and it's just titled Theosophy, the Paramitas. It was published on the DLT DC website, as I mentioned. The speaker related the Paramitas to Buddhism's great images of the wheel of life. 2 other talks on the Paramitas on the TOTDC website were given in 2015 on October 25, 10/25, and November 15, 11/15. One on SHILA on year 2016, 02/21, February 21, and KSHANTI 2016, 04/17, April 17. The Theosophical Movement magazine for the months of March, April, and May 2024 also addressed the Paramitas. The Bhagavad Gita and other theosophical publications also introduce paths or different way, or they different ways of introducing the same path as the Paramitas. All of these paths have to be synthesized into one whole that involve the hands, the heart, and the head. None of these paths are mutually exclusive. Meditation will not enable one to reach to the virtues without moral practices, for example. We are also told that there is only one path, and it is up to the pilgrim to determine how the path is going to be traversed based on one's condition in life. To truly know how to do these things, we must find the path ourselves. It is an internal path. To transform ourselves, the bottom of slide 2 shows that we must approach the Paramitas with our adamantine will and dauntless heart. It's the eighth Roman numeral 8. I mean, letter 8. Let the seeker know once for all that the virtues cannot be discarded or ignored. They must be made a part of our life, and their philosophical basis must be understood. There's a difference between following a code of conduct and internally transforming our natures to be in tune with what we call the virtues. Our objective is to become these virtues of love, honesty, and truthfulness based on compassion. These virtues must be internalized and guided from inside out. Each of us has an internal guide called the higher self. It's what we call it in theosophy, which is no different from the higher selves of the masters, except the masters, through their self-induced and self-devised methods, have become in perfect tune with the highest self of all. Masters have their ways of helping us, although they can't perform their karma for us. We're encouraged, at the bottom of number 2, slide 2, we're encouraged to be ever keep trying to become the Paramitas as we feel the presence of the masters of wisdom in our lives. We have to try to do both. It is said that on the path there are 7 complex psychological forces guarded by cruel and crafty powers. Success in dealing with any of these forces starts with the law of compassion. The voice of the silence on pages 75 and 76 describes compassion in very precise terms. Quote, "Canst thou destroy divine compassion? Compassion is no attribute. It is a law of laws, internal harmony, Alaya's self, a showless universal essence, the light of everlasting right, and fitness of all things, the law of love eternal. Compassion is the mother of the Paramitas, as noted at the bottom of slide 2. The more thou dost become at one with it, thou being melted in its being, the more thy soul unites with that which is the more thou wilt become, that which is the more thou wilt become compassion absolute. Such is the Arya path, the path of the Buddhas of perfection. We cannot develop compassion by intellectual study alone. We have to take into account the study of what we call the divine virtues, or Paramitas. Slide 2 tells us, I think that's slide 3, yeah. Slide 3 tells us the force is divine virtue. It tells us the first force is right, number 1, right love and charity, DHYANA, which becomes number 7, God, wisdom, or PRAJNA. And number 2 is the harmony in that word and right, SHILA, becomes number 6, contemplation and compassion, and DHYANA. Let me see, I get sure I'm in the wrong slide here. Just a minute. Now, that's better. Okay, so data becomes PRAJNA, SHILA becomes DHYANA, which is SHILA, DHYANA, harmony and right and act. SHILA becomes contemplation and compassion, and patience becomes KSHANTI, becomes dauntless energy and courage of VIRYA, and the link to the earthly to the divine is number 4, detachment, or desires, compassion, interpersonal sympathy, and affection. It takes lifetimes of sustained effort to master these paramitas, but we must try, and try. We're assured that the student is ready. The master will appear when the student is ready. In the meantime, we're to keep on trying to consistently live in our higher self. Slide 3 shows that we can think of the paramita forces in pairs. It's presented here. The top of slide 3 is this. The bottom of slide 3 is we'll be talking about this in detail. Can you see the now that says VIRYA, parabola? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. That'll be on the rest of the time, probably. Okay. In the meantime, we have to keep on trying until we conquer all this. So if we think of the paramita forces in pairs as their lower and higher counterpart, as that's shown in the parabola 2. Dana number 1 becomes PRAJNA, and SHILA number 2 becomes 6 is DHYANA, and 3 KSHANTI and VIRYA are connected with the 4th desireless, VIRAGA, also spelled VAIRAGYA, which applies to both the lower and the higher forces that we have in the middle of the parabola VIRAGA. So that applies to all the lower, which it becomes the higher. So Dana again becomes PRAJNA, SHILA becomes DHYANA, and KSHANTI becomes VIRYA. When we apply, when we start, we become vassals of VIRAGA, or the entire paramitas. So the second part of the slide is what we are now, slide 3, shows that this connection of the parabola. We will not be able to develop these divine qualities or virtues without trying to live these virtues, which is the lower part of the parabola, and both them and the higher divine aspect. Vairagya, dispassion or desireless, selflessness, impersonal sympathy and affection, or detachment with Vairagya. And the 4th paramita is the starting paramita for those who are trying to improve spiritually. I think all of us would probably be the middle paramita is the one we start with. The inner spiritual life can truly commence and without a base of its foundation, and Vairagya, bringing together Dana, SHILA, KSHANTI, what we're talking about here. So on either side of the base is KSHANTI, is patience to the one side, VIRYA, dauntless courage, and energy on the other side. Patience, so KSHANTI, is a sublime, lofty, awe-inspiring virtue. The paramita on the downward arc is the highest for those who have not yet any conception of the higher life. But the patience which cultivates VIRYA, or KSHANTI and VIRYA form a pair, is the higher patience, and both are the progeny. They're known as the daughter and son of dispassion, Vairagya. Patience itself is a healing power, and very much indeed can be gained both spiritually and psychically through patience. Active and positive benefit accrues from the practice of this virtue. When during its expression and observance, the mind keeps fecundated by spiritual varieties and ideas. The Bhagavad Gita says, the Bhagavad Gita, the voice of the silence, light on the path, and the light of Asia are purifiers, builders, strengtheners, and polishers of human nature, potent in their action when properly used on the blood and through it, in the nerves and the muscles. We get not only what we deserve, but also that which we desire, and that which is the best, for very best for us. So the light of daring, courage, and VIRYA follows KSHANTI patience, conjoined by VIRYA, by VIRAGA, dispassion. We become fearless, courageous, or VIRYA, when we develop desirelessness, dispassion, and our lower level, KSHANTI, becomes courage, VIRYA, at the higher level. The order of the Paramitas is VIRYA first, VIRAGA first, and then KSHANTI and VIRYA as a pair. This should be understood and deliberately practiced. Begin with daring and patience as mental moral qualities. Action on the outer plane will follow naturally. That is always the principle of inner application of mind feeling. The mind feeling is the cause, speech action is the effect. The reverse of what is called hatha yoga. Theosophy advocates Raja yoga as the inner application of mind. So we're going from inner or Raja yoga in inner to outward. Focusing on SHILA and DHYANA. The next priority Paramitas pair would be after VIRAGA, combines SHILA and harmony, and DHYANA and contemplation. The second virtue, SHILA, needs to be studied and understood, looking at it from the viewpoint of personal application to yourself. Knowing the kinship between word and action. Karmic action done under the force of your own destiny. And there is the intelligent action of the great law which restores the harmony we break. We should take into account the omniscience of the law, which is not only exact justice, but also infinite mercy. The DHYANA Paramita, the virtue of ceaseless contemplation of meta compassion, mercy, is the result of VIRAGA. DHYANA is one of the pair, the other being SHILA. Study DHYANA and SHILA as a pair, one supporting and improving the other in us. SHILA, or harmony, develops as DHYANA, alternative contemplation of progresses as DHYANA, and DHYANA grows in intensity as SHILA establishes a self and reveals the power of bonding word and deed on the plane of effects. Also thought a feeling on the plane of causes. The dhyana or paramita means ceaseless contemplation as a virtue feeling. It is the Narjol state that is that of a saintly adept. Now this contemplation is a result of dhyana and samadhi, the highest state of meditation, as which complete unity is reached as detailed in Patanjali's yoga aphorisms, which we just finished a few weeks ago. Dhyana and love, if we go to there, dhyana and PRAJNA, we spoke on that a little bit. The final pair is dhyana, I'm sorry, I said dhyana, love and charity, and PRAJNA, of wisdom. The ordinary kindness, love, and charity of the good need to be handled deliberately, according to plan, to be spiritual. Remember that real detachment of VIRAGA comes from and through attachments, and we have to use those very attachments to loosen the fetters of personal karma by the right performance of duties. We need to look upon our present circumstances as very suitable avenues to unfold real and universal understanding through an impersonal sympathy and affection. High aiming is a protection against egotism and exaggerated sense of self-importance. For earnest students who sincerely aspire to apply the principles, it soon becomes necessary to acquire something of the starring Paramita of VIRAGA. But for the worldly minded good man, the starting paramita has to be Dhamma, because they don't know nothing about spirituality. Knowledge makes the difference in the very formation of our aim and ideal, high or low. A master wrote to the effect that negative goodness will not do for childship. Without knowledge, men and women cannot really be good, become good. The voice of the silence says that to practice the paramita path is to become united in, through love and charity. All have love starting from animal love and then becomes human love. And getting in the way, though, is our selfish, especially as selfishness, has grown in humans too. And lust and the passion to possess. And can we become to walk cautiously and deliberately on the param? How can we become to walk consciously and deliberately on the paramita path? We have to take hold of our love and charity. So that path begins with Vairagya, detachment, desires, and desperation. Hearing it is asceticism or self-denial. It is triple of mind, sight, and senses. True asceticism is love without attachment. To love these, we may prove a hindrance unless we enlarge as well as deepen our love on the plane of Vairagya or detachment. not to love those we dislike, or not to forgive, and again, we do not practice viraga. Therefore, the mental paramita must be unfolded subjectively first within one's own soul. This builds an intolerable bridge, for mind becomes detached from aversions and attractions, dislikes, and also likes. All human beings have a seed of love and charity, but how few make that seed useful in the right way. Thought bestowed on charity and love purifies and elevates, and then dhyana PRAJNA is conceived. Seeing with the eye of dhyana. That conception has its subjective period, like an antenatal embryonic existence. Then it is born and acts of charity and love are done. But all throughout the intellectual process, it has to be kept up. To love is to understand all and to forgive all lovableness. But there is also yoga with love expressions, which are pure and so lovable. To become lovable is a step in the development of dhyana PRAJNA. Real PRAJNA is compassion absolute. It stands at the gate of the inner path of renunciation. Before thou canst approach the foremost gate, thou hast to learn to part thy body from thy mind, to dissipate the shadow and live in the eternal, says the voice of the silence, pages 53 and 54. PRAJNA is the power of the capacity that gives rise to perception. It contains within itself the potentiality of every condition and results as consciousness on the one hand and as the objective universe on the other. The motion and the space and the spirit, the matter, and the first fundamental is what we're talking about here. But by the operation of its latent sakti, the power which generates thought and the fohat of the secret doctrine. Its highest perception is the development of the seventh paramita, which implies altruistic truth or compassionate wisdom. Make clean and clear your sight, we are told. This is the common exercise, whatever our perception. We have a sight of knowledge and another of love. We to coalesce there is to become single-eyed. Our feelings are personal and selfish. Our thoughts follow them, and so we act as human animals. PRAJNA's development begins with the unfoldment of dhyana, and also Dhyana's development shows in our harmony in our words and acts and works. SHILA VIRAGA provides the key to dispassion and desirelessness. It is hourly watching of ourselves and the lower nature. To practice the paramita, says the voice of the silence, means to become a yogi with a view of becoming an ascetic. To become a yogi is to be united in and through love. These seven divine virtues are the stuff of which masters' personalities are made. Their great detachment, their profound seclusion, their grand compassion, all point to VIRAGA. The 10 transcendental Paramitas include the 3 corresponding to the 3 planes beyond the self and principles that are in the diagram on page 200 of the Secret Doctrine, Volume 1. It relates what is said about the 3 higher planes beyond the planetary chain of Summit. Man in the earth chain is a summoned principal being, but in reality, he has to become a perfect number of 10. The three hypostases of the first fundamental are the metaphysical aspects of the 3 higher, the 3 are transcendental Paramitas. As above, so it is below. So we may be currently sinners as claimed by the church, but we can also become perfected through the same practice of the Paramitas. All probationers are called upon to examine themselves by the light of their inner ego, and with the help of the divine virtues, the attributes of the heart, the mind feelings, integration of yoga union between the mind and the heart demands that the mind become virtuous. We have to learn to think of virtues and to use our reason and our intelligence and our determination and discernment as we constantly try to practice the Paramitas in everything we think and do. That concludes our presentation, formal presentation. Would like to turn it over now to you for comments and questions.
So that was a great overview and detailed look at the Paramitas. It seems from your talk that they don't necessarily go in order, that there's different ways of sort of approaching these virtues.
Yeah, it's an individual thing. I mean, they all you have to learn them all. You have to become them all together. You can't just go like a chain. You're working on all of them at the same time. But it shows you on the list that it just tells you what's involved in becoming. Yeah. And it's a personal thing. Yes.
Yeah, excellent summary of the 7 portals. It seems to me as though, to really be able to grasp even the essence of these Paramitas, we have to know that we are immortal beings in the first place, because that's the reason why these are called transcendental, as they go beyond the illusion of terrestrial life. So I think it does make sense that while we try to practice these as best as we can, we should also restrain our senses, which draws down to the lower plane of life. Would that be a safe assumption?
Right. The selfishness and I'll quote natural earthly tendencies. Because when we are not embodied, we don't have that challenge. All of that. So we have to learn to develop ourselves. So when we come back to this earth and continue on, we get get it to the highest level. And the teachings say that we are no different than the masters, just a little because they got more experience than we got, and they got more experience because of their self-induced and self-devised efforts.
One more question. So in this diagram you have on the slide, so do we, when we start off practicing these paramitas, do we do them in pairs? And they seem to be linked in pairs, right?
Yeah.
It's an extension of Kathy's question is, where do we start? I know it says that in the Voice of the Silence, it says the gate number 1, gate number 2, portal number 3, right? But it's not necessarily in that in that order. But if you, in this diagram, it's interesting that it pairs the 7, PRAJNA with dana, and SHILA with DHYANA, VIRAGA with SHANTI. Is that how would we practice this?
We wouldn't be here if we didn't know anything was, if we weren't trying to become more spiritual beings. So that's the suggestion is that we would start with number 4, VIRAGA, because we're already trying for number 1 to 3 with the dana, SHILA, KSHANTI, the other things. The only ones that should start there, dana, are the worldly minded good man, is who is in that circle of the good person in life until they finally wake up and say, hey, there's more to life than living in the body. You can do more than that. So so that's why they say the teachings is that we should start with VIRAGA and pair them the way they're paired on the VIRAGA. Except for the worldly good person that knows that they just got to start with dana. Kind of goes that way. And try to anchor themselves in that before they even go to VIRAGA.
My question. My question is: this is a practice for the spirit, and as I understand it, what once you are practicing the paramitas, do you pick them up? Do you pick them up where you started in your previous lives? Do the skandhas take care of bringing those steps you've taken before to continue, not for your own benefit, but for the benefit of others?
Yes, absolutely. It talks about the blood and all that stuff. That's what it's getting at there. You're constantly giving off skandhas in this life. If you're trying to become spiritual, that evolves into that. When you come back from Devachan or that for the unembodied life, then you pick up where you left off. I think is reported. But not only do you pick up where you left off, but you affect everything around you. First, when in this, while you're embodied in trying to be kind to your neighbors and things, that helps you. That helps everybody around. And then your example that you when you're embodied helps, and you also it says something about when you body become unembodied. There's one recommendation that asks you to be either put in the water or something like that, so that it will sweeter, make everything sweeter. So that's another one.
So this is a path of selflessness, right? Rather than the focus being on your advancement.
Yes, it's helpless. That's you. That's the way you advance. It's becoming selfless rather than selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So it's not an easy path. I mean, it's easy to say these things, but to live it at all times, even to live it a little bit, is a job sometimes. When people hassle you and things like that out in the world, and you got to maintain your cool and do the right thing, say the right thing, and all that. It takes a lot of practice, and that's why they say we can't become just by meditation. Yeah, the Buddha meditated, went out in the woods, went out for years. He meditated, but he finally came back, and he put it together and come back in to help humanity. So that's the example that is set for us. The masters that have set that example for us. All those who are advanced, more advanced than us, and we have to. Our job is to help those that are below us that don't know as much as we do. But we have to do that by knowledge. That's the only, because we just can't do that. Like the average of a good man. Yeah, he's going to be good to say, but sometimes you can do more harm than good by getting involved. So you have to know what you're doing, but you can't not do anything because you're afraid to do something. You got to do what you can do at the time, and that's the way you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the way these were paired because it seems like 1, 2, and 3 make, a foundation, universality, harmony, and love and patience, and that they transform into sort of a higher version of that. They expand perhaps into 5, 6, and 7. And that detachment's needed the entire time. I also, I think I recall you saying that in some ways you need VIRYA, the 5th one, energy to begin. Like every student who takes on something new is like, has a certain energy when you begin something. Hopefully it's an energy grounded in this case, the immensity of the task, and not like a false energy that will just burn out and someone will, be tired of it. It has to be a true, I guess, I don't know if excitement's the right word, but energy or excitement to become selfless, to become, to take one's growth, to be, open up to a different realm of, like spirituality, to leave the physical, personal behind.
Yeah, that's where the intellect comes in. Intellect comes in too, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're out there trying. We gotta be out there trying. And if we don't know what we're doing, we could do more harm than good. For example, feeding the birds. Well, it might be a good time to feed the birds. I don't know, but it's not smart to interfere with nature too much. Maybe if the dead of the winter, the snow on the ground, they can still root around and find food, which might help a little bit to get animals and people through a rough spot. But you don't want to interfere with their karma, and that's a fine line too. And that comes from experience and know what to know what to do next. But you got to try. We don't have any choice. We either going to do something or we're not going to do something. And by not doing something, we're still doing something by muddling through. But we don't want to muddle through forever. We want to be able to be like the masters and be more help to humanity. And that by helping ourselves, if we do it selflessly, we're also helping humanity.
So, Hope, in your talk, you refer to this diagram on page 200 of the Secret Doctrine.
Yes.
And you kind of use that diagram to talk about the tenfold nature of the paramitas. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yeah. Well, we are. It is as above, so it is below. It's saying. Now, we look on page 200 now. If you've got your copy of the Secret Doctrine, we can. I should have probably put that in the slide too, but that is the earths of the world in various stages, from the finest stage all the way seven stages up to we're in the most solid stage now. Number 4 is where we're at. And we go all the way. The earth then goes to the finest stage again to number 7. Well, that's what we do too. As above, so it is below. Mm-hmm. We can trace ourselves that way too. And I'm still looking for that page. But there are 10. There's 10 steps in there on that page. On that page for the earth, and there's 10 for us too. Mm-hmm. But they don't unless you're a really advanced student, it doesn't do any good to talk about 7 to 10. If you've already found 200, found page 200, you can see what I'm saying here. I can't already see it, but I'm getting to it eventually. If you only, here it is. There's the four planes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I say 7 planes, I guess. But the number 10, number 7 to 10 is that triangle up there. Mm-hmm. That is the highest. That gets you to the gods, if you will. But as we are going around the circle, we're becoming, in these globes A to G, we're in the finest globe of A, and then we got down to B. There's a little bit more solid. C is a little bit more solid. D is where we're at. Yeah, and we're down there D, which is very, very solid, and that's that and then you have to come back up all the way to the spiritual side, which gets you to the 7 to 10. Is they're don't talk about that too much, but it's not any more than we can't really figure out much about 7 to 10 until we have mastered a lot of these lower 7 categories. So here it is. Yeah, I'll hold it up. Yeah, I don't know if you can you see this?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So just you look at your secret doctrine on page 200.
200, yeah.
And I'll send you a copy if you email me or call or just tell me. But that's one. You can think about the globe. You can think about humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Same process.
Well, are there any more questions or comments? Guess that concludes our talk and discussion on the Paramitas. Thank you so much. And we'll take a short break and then meet back to continue our study on the Book of Confidences.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.